On the quiet school campus, Matsuboshi sits beside Rina in class. The teacher is in the middle of his discussion, but Matsuboshi can't focus. His eyes drift toward Rina, who doesn't acknowledge him at all. Her silence and indifference form a quiet wall between them, one he can't seem to cross. In their second year of high school, Matsuboshi finds himself beside her once again. He looks around the classroom, unable to tell what kind of people their new classmates are just yet. In his mind, he imagines the usual mix: bossy types who try to control everyone, attention seekers desperate for praise, and competitive students willing to go as far as sabotage. No matter who they are, Matsuboshi vows to protect Rina from all of it. Someone suddenly calls out to him. Ishikawa points out how he and Rina are seatmates again. Hanako is there too, happy they're in the same class once more. Mitsuki is with them this year, though Ishikawa jokes it's boring now that Mitsuki can't peek at them from the windows of another building like last year. They'd exchange silent hopes for a good year ahead, and a few light nods say more than words could. Their new homeroom teacher, Tobaru, introduces herself. She appears strict and composed, announcing that it's her first time taking charge of a homeroom class. Determined to maintain discipline and order, she tries to keep a professional face. However, there's already an issue: Matsuboshi and Rina. Their subtle gestures, too soft for others to pick up on but too sweet for her overactive imagination, threaten her resolve. She's had nosebleeds just from watching them interact. There's even a rumor that they're dating. She prepares herself mentally, knowing she might have to endure far more than she expects this year. While Tobaru discusses the semester schedule, Rina asks Matsuboshi if she can switch seats. The student in front of her has a large frame, and it's hard for her to see the board. Matsuboshi, remembering what they used to do, casually lifts her up and lets her sit on his shoulders while balancing her desk on his head. Tobaru, sensing something unusual mid-discussion, turns around. But by the time she does, both students are back in their original seats. As it turns out, the student in front of Rina notices the situation and offers to switch seats, allowing her a better view of the board. After the first class, they're required to move runes for the next subject. Rina is fast asleep in her chair. Matsuboshi tries to wake her, but she doesn't budge. With time running out, he carries her on his back and walks to the next classroom. Though it surprises him that she's already this tired on the first day, it reminds him of animals in hibernation. Her slow, quiet movements and drowsiness make him imagine that maybe she's storing up energy for a season of growth. If she's entering a new phase of development, then maybe he needs to grow too. In the classroom, Rina eventually wakes. Matsuboshi wants to share his thoughts, but Rina simply thanks him for carrying her earlier. At lunchtime, the two sit together on a bench near the classroom. Tobaru and a fellow teacher walk by, taking notice. Tobaru, doing her best to act indifferent, joins her colleague and sitting across from them at a vacant spot. Rina opens her lunchbox and tells Matsuboshi she made meatballs, the kind he likes. He thinks back to her exhaustion that morning and suspects she must have stayed up preparing them. Rina expresses worry that she made too many, but Matsuboshi reassures her. He insists it's fine as she makes delicious meatballs, and he's happy to eat everything because she went through the trouble of making it for him. Tobaru watches this scene with tension rising in her chest. She tries to focus on her own lunch. When her colleague lifts her food, a crow swoops in and snatches it from her hand. They decide it's safer to eat indoors and walk away, leaving the two students alone again. Now alone, Rina begins feeding Matsuboshi the meatballs herself. One after another, she pushes them into his mouth until he's overwhelmed, struggling to chew and swallow. Still, he endures it, cheeks full. Later in the afternoon, homeroom resumes. The weather has shifted. Rina, sensitive to the cold, begins to shiver slightly in her seat. Tobaru watches from the front of the room, feeling confident for once. She's managed to get through most of the day without a nosebleed despite several close calls. But when she glances at them again, that fragile illusion shatters. Rina now sits in Matsuboshi's lap. To Tobaru, it doesn't look like a classroom anymore. It resembles a snow-covered cabin where two lovers cling to each other for warmth. She tries to stay composed to say her closing remarks for the day, but her vision darkens. Before she can properly dismiss the class, blood begins to stream from her mouth. Final groan, she collapses forward onto her desk, defeated. The next day, Matsuboshi and Rina walk to school together. Ishikawa and Hanako catch up to them as they all make their way to class. They break some news: there will be a transfer student joining them today. When Tobaru arrives in class, she welcomes the new transfer student. She has a red ribbon in her hair, and her slightly open shirt exposes a part of her belly. She greets everyone cheerfully and introduces herself as Riku. Since there is a vacant seat in front of Rina, Tobaru tells her to sit there. Her unusual look and demeanor leave everyone astonished. Students like her are rare at the school. Once seated, Riku turns around to greet Rina, who is behind her. As usual, Rina instantly leans forward, her face extremely close to Riku's. Matsuboshi watches with concern, thinking it's too much of a baptism for a transfer student. Matsuboshi assumes Rina is being too aggressive, but to his surprise, she's only introducing herself. Riku instantly adores Rina. Caught off guard by her cuteness, she embraces her tightly. Reina turns red, visibly flustered. Riku becomes so taken with her that she starts treating her like a baby, smitten by her presence. Meanwhile, Tobaru, doing her best not to pass out, watches the scene unfold. After class, the day winds down and students prepare to head home. Matsuboshi turns to Reina, but she's preoccupied with Riku, who excitedly invites her to hang out. Reina agrees, and although she wants to ask if Matsuboshi can come with them, Riku doesn't hear her. Overexcited, Riku grabs Reina's bag and drags her toward the door. His imagination runs wild, Riku challenging Reina to a power struggle and trying to assert herself in the social hierarchy. Matsuboshi panics, feeling like he must rescue her, and rushes after them. In reality, Reina and Riku are just in a cafe, sipping drinks and having fun. Matsuboshi trails behind them and spots them through the window. Riku is busy taking photos of their drinks while Reina stays motionless. From outside, Matsuboshi watches the peaceful scene. But in his mind, he's convinced something tense is happening. Even though Reina and Riku are just enjoying their time together, Matsuboshi imagines the standoff like something out of a Western film, with both silently fighting for their place. Suddenly, Riku wants to go somewhere else. This makes Matsuboshi panic even more. The fact that she wants to leave with Reina makes him think that she might bring her to a place where fellow punks are waiting, picturing Reina being beaten up. In reality, though, they are simply going to a nearby photo booth to take cute pictures together. Before she can say anything, Riku glances outside and mentions how it's getting late. They decide to head home. Riku leaves first. When she's out of sight, Matsuboshi approaches Reina and asks if everything's okay. Reina says she is, but her face shows some hesitation. What scares her is the thought of her friendship with Riku ending up like the one she lost back in elementary school. He assures her that it's not going to be like that again. That night in her room, Riku rolls over her bed, scolding herself for acting too cheerful earlier. It almost felt weird. But the truth is, all she ever wanted was to be friends with Reina again. She opens an old yearbook from elementary school and flips to a class photo. There captured in the frame are both her and Reina. She had known Reina all along. The next morning in class, Reina greets Riku, and Riku smiles, thanking her for the previous day. Despite the brief exchange, Reina spaces out a lot during the day. Her thoughts return to her elementary school friend, the one she got close to too quickly and eventually lost. She starts worrying that the same thing is happening again. Riku doesn't seem as lively as she was before, and the contrast is hard to ignore. Matsuboshi notices her uneasiness and quietly figures out the reason. He comforts her, saying he does not mind Reina being too close and personal with him at all. Sometimes people just have the wrong idea, so it's better to talk to her. At the end of the day, as Riku prepares to leave, Reina grabs her hand and pulls her aside. She tells Riku that since Riku took her out yesterday, today it's her turn to lead. Riku is surprised but pleased by the idea, though she tries to keep her cool. They spend the rest of the afternoon together, going to places Reina picks. They play games, eat snacks, and enjoy other things. Eventually, Riku is so full she can barely move, and they sit down to rest. It's then that Reina opens up about her past. She tells Riku about a friend she had in middle school, someone she became too close with too soon. That friend suddenly left her behind, and ever since then, she's been scared of forming close friendships. She apologizes if she did anything wrong the other day, but to her surprise, Riku interrupts. She says she should be the one apologizing. Then she tells Reina something she's been keeping to herself. They had already met once before. Back in elementary school during their first day, Riku and Reina sat beside each other. At first, Riku misjudged Reina because of her quiet voice, but when Riku realized she had forgotten her notebook, Reina came closer and shared hers without hesitation. That simple gesture broke the wall between them. From then on, they did almost everything together, eating lunch, walking home, and spending every break side by side. Eventually, Riku began to feel guilty. She feared that dragging Reina around too much might be exhausting her. Instead of asking how Reina felt, she made the decision on her own to step away. She started avoiding Reina. What she didn't know was that her absence confused and hurt Reina deeply. As Riku tells her story, tears start falling down her face. But before she can apologize again, Reina responds. She tells Riku she had fun yesterday, and even back then too. Hearing that, Riku cries even harder. She finally says sorry for everything. Reina comforts her. She's just glad that everything is a simple misunderstanding after all. The next day, Riku can't stop recalling how fun yesterday was. She even considers asking Reina to go out with her again, but her cheerful mood is instantly disrupted when Mitsuki suddenly approaches her. Riku's face shifts from happy to horrified. Though Mitsuki greets her kindly, Riku doesn't recognize her at all. When Mitsuki suggests they go have drinks and catch up, Riku agrees out of courtesy. As they walk, Riku tries to recall who Mitsuki is. She changes schools so often that it's hard to keep track of past classmates. They arrive at a hamburger place where customers are asked to write their names in a logbook. Riku feels this could be her chance to finally know who Mitsuki is. However, Mitsuki writes Takeshi instead. She explains it's become a habit not to write her real name due to anxiety. Riku's hope of solving the mystery fades again. As they wait for their food, Riku keeps thinking about her name. Then Mitsuki suddenly leans in and asks if something is bothering her. Riku is taken aback, thinking Mitsuki might be interested in her romantically. She grows tense as Mitsuki inches even closer. But before she can react, Mitsuki quickly swats at something near her. A bee had been about to sting Riku, and Mitsuki acted just in time. The shock overwhelms Riku. She unexpectedly starts crying, which alarms Mitsuki. But Riku admits the tears are out of frustration. She still can't remember her name. Mitsuki finally reintroduces herself, revealing they were classmates in 6th grade, along with Reina. Riku apologizes for not recognizing her sooner. Mitsuki understands, especially since they never really talked ever since then. Still, even with the name, Riku can't recall her clearly. Back home, Riku opens her old yearbook. Scanning the pages, she finally finds Mitsuki's photo, and only then does her memory come back. The next day at school, Matsuboshi and Reina are having lunch together when Ishikawa and Hanako join them. Shortly after, Mitsuki and Riku arrive. Upon noticing Matsuboshi sitting beside Reina, Riku becomes uneasy. Acting on impulse, she pulls Reina away and scolds Matsuboshi, demanding to know who he is and warns him the two of them have been friends since elementary. When Matsuboshi calmly says that he and Reina are dating, and Reina confirms it, Riku is stunned with embarrassment. Matsuboshi attempts to formally introduce himself, but Riku runs away in shame. The group wonders what's wrong, but Riku simply can't handle the fact that she mistook Reina's boyfriend for just another classmate, and that she even bragged about being close to Reina.